Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Hardam Tripathi from Trip Law. Today we're going to be discussing U visas and the new bona fide determination process. So if this is your first time viewing a video, please feel free to select that like button and subscribe so you can get more videos like this and you'll be up to date on everything immigration law and policy. So let's get right into it. What are U visas? Well, U visas are certain types of visas that are afforded to individuals who are immigrants who come to these great United States of America and they ultimately want to live that American dream. But unfortunately, sometimes they fall victim to a crime. And if you fall victim to a crime, then you have this wonderful opportunity then to apply for what is called a U visa. Back when the U visa was promulgated by Congress and ultimately was sent in to the executive and to USCIS, the intent of Congress was to make sure that those who were immigrants who were here without inspection or whoever was in fear of deportation for that matter, that they would not fear that. They would actually report a crime that actually had occurred where they happened to be a victim, where they suffered from some sort of mental or physical distress. So that's a very key component to U visas. It allows those immigrants the wonderful opportunity to actually report a crime if they are happening to be a victim of that crime, and then aid law enforcement in either investigating or prosecuting the said perpetrator so that that crime could then be resolved in the court of law. So it's a really great opportunity for those with family members or those who happen to be here without inspection in these great United States to ultimately have that opportunity to be back in legal status by applying for what is called a U visa. So if you or a loved one happen to be a victim of a certain qualifying crime, there's a whole laundry list of different crimes that we'd be more than happy to assist you with here at Trip Law, explain through thoroughly. But if you happen to be a victim, unfortunately, be a victim of this qualifying crime, and as a result of that crime, you as that immigrant suffer from some sort of mental or physical distress, and if you happen to then file a police report, or if you then happen to help law enforcement then with the investigation and prosecution of that crime, then you are then qualified to then apply for what is called a U visa. Lately, though, there's been a new development in the law as of this video. There's been something called the bona fide determination process. Now, what does that mean? What does bona fide determination mean? Well, basically, there's a lot of backlogs going on right now at USCIS. There's a lot of backlogs. There's a lot of short staffs. I mean, it's getting pretty ridiculous out there. So it's actually a benefit now to immigrants that this new policy with USCIS has been promulgated by the director of USCIS and the current administration. So ultimately what the bona fide determination does is it provides those immigrants who are applying for those U visas to ultimately get temporary status while at the same time getting work authorization. It's a process in itself for those who are caught up in the pending U visa process. These processes can take up to 5 to 7 years due to the backlog, the sheer backlog of U visa cases that we have in this great country. So ultimately, it does take 5 to 7 years for you to ultimately then, once going through that process through USCIS, have that U visa. And so what this bona fide determination does is it provides USCIS officers a lot of discretion. They have a lot of discretion, and what they do is they look at all your documents as you as the immigrant, and they say, well, is this person meet the merits? Are they a person of good moral character? Is there certain things in their profile that allows them to have that foundation, to have that merit, to then apply for this bona fide determination? And so ultimately what will happen is then once they review that, and if allotted the opportunity to be deemed bona fide, then what will happen is you will then, as the immigrant, be put in deferred action status with then the possibility to apply for that I-765 work permit. And we'd be more than happy here at Trip Law to help you do that, because we know it's very important that you find legal work here in the United States of America. And so ultimately, once all this evidence is provided to USCIS and you get that bona fide determination, you are then allowed that, that ease of mind ultimately to go through the motions of going through the U visa process, but then at the same time having the opportunity to then apply for that work permit, ultimately have that opportunity to get that temporary status when you're caught in this little limbo stage in this period of your life. So it's a really great opportunity. It's a good policy. It's really great for immigrants, and ultimately the administration is doing a pretty good job on helping, with processing times and things of that nature. Now, let's kind of go into the next thing. I think this is very important for you viewers out there. If you're looking at what qualifies as a qualifying crime, right? These are crimes like burglary, robbery, arson. I mean, if you're a victim of one of these types of crimes, there's a whole list, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about that here at Law at our consultation. But if you qualify for that, being a victim of that crime, and you provide the evidence such as text messages, pictures of, you having a bruise on your shoulder if you were beaten, or receipts if it's a financial fraud type situation. There's many different types of crimes out there, and if you happen to be a victim of those crimes, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you with that from a U visa perspective. We have to then provide on your behalf to USCIS evidence showing that you are indeed a victim and that this is a qualified crime. Then there's this form called the I-918 form. It's a very important form that you have to provide to the U.S. government, USCIS specifically, showing the supporting evidence, showing that background of what you've gone through, having that personal statement that is very detailed and catered to the victim of the crime itself, like you being the victim, what all happened, the facts, the issues, and then we'll come in with the law and the analysis to make sure that we ultimately have a conclusion that will ultimately make sure that you have the best chances or an outcome to ultimately get that U visa. Then furthermore, once all the evidence is provided to USCIS, there's something called a Supplemental B form. That's a very important form. It's a form that a U.S. government official, or at the state and local level, some government official has to sign to show that you actually, as the immigrant, the intending immigrant applying for the U visa, ultimately aided in the investigation or prosecution of such crime that took place, and to get that perpetrator, justice, and ultimately for you, but also getting justice, going through the motions of the court of law and following the rules of law. And so ultimately what will happen is that Supplemental B form will help you with that. This form has to be filed within 6 months, by the way, of you actually submitting the U visa application. Here at our firm, we try to do it concurrently just to make sure that we speed things up and expedite these processes, but it's very important. This is a form, a Supplemental B, that you have to either get signed by the state attorney's office or by the U.S. attorney's office if this is a federal crime. This is also where, a judge or a law enforcement officer, FBI, I mean, there's a wide diaspora of people who can definitely sign off on this, but definitely the Supplemental B is very, very, very important. Furthermore, there's a Supplemental A, and that's for derivative beneficiaries. That's if you have, let's say, a spouse in another country, your home country, or you have minor children that are unmarried under the age of 21. As a result of you getting that U visa, you can also bring your derivative beneficiary, your family member, over with you. And so it's a really great benefit for you as the actual intending immigrant applying for the U visa. We understand here at Law that this is a very delicate time. This is why these cases are so near and dear to our hearts. And so we want to make sure that we do the best job possible with the time and the efficiency that is definitely given much respect to. So that's something that's very important. And then finally, you need to basically submit a lot of different documentation, because remember that 6-month filing deadline for that Supplemental B form, but ultimately you're going to have to write a detailed personal statement. It has to go into such fine detail of what happened, where it happened, when it happened, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. We are going to help you with that and make sure that we have the best possible snapshot of what happened in your life and how we can best present that as evidence to USCIS, because that's ultimately your bread and butter. That's your case. That's your story. This is your day in court, per se. Right? So it's very important. And we here at Law, we pride ourselves in making sure that you ultimately have the most clear and articulate message provided to USCIS so that they understand, so that you have the best chance of getting that U visa. So after that, you're going to go through biometrics, which is basically a fancy term for fingerprinting. You're going to have to go through the fingerprinting process. We'd be more than happy to help you with that. And then finally, they're going to do background checks, FBI background checks, possibly IRS. I mean, the full alphabet soup of the government. They're going to do background checks, make sure you're good to go. Now, right now, from the date of this video, you're looking at about 5 to 7 years to obtain a U visa. So it's very important that you take advantage of this bona fide determination process and the new change in policy that we just discussed. It's so important to file it. You can definitely use that to your advantage, so you're not getting deported, so that you can work, not be stuck in limbo, and ultimately live that American dream while you're going through this process. So ultimately, it's good policy here at our firm. We always like to give more on the front end so that we don't have to basically utilize those requests, for evidence. So it's very important to provide more information to the government on the front end, and we'd be more than happy to put that together for you. So finally, just want to say that U visas are a really great vehicle if you happen to unfortunately be a victim of a crime, if you've suffered some sort of mental or physical distress. You've helped the law enforcement or the government basically investigate or prosecute this perpetrator, and ultimately you are part of a qualifying crime. And if all this meshes, which we'll do in our consultation for you, and we'll definitely help you out on this and put you on your way forward so you can actually focus on your life and not have to worry about the trauma that you suffered as a possible victim. So ultimately, we do a lot of these cases all throughout the United States of America, and embassies and consulates abroad. We work, different clients over there as well. But ultimately, we've seen with the whole COVID-19 pandemic and everything, an uptick in violence and crime. It's so unfortunate, so sad, but we here at Trip Law understand that that is unfortunate. However, it is fortunate because it does provide you a pathway to getting that U visa. So if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call. Our number here is 863-370-2427. Once again, that's 863-370-2427. And you can also email us at info@trip-law.com. That's info@trip, the hyphen sign, law.com. And if you have any questions or you need assistance, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help. We just really hope you found this nugget very helpful, and we look forward to catching up with you on all things immigration law and policy next time. So God bless you, and God bless these great United States of America, and wishing you the best with your immigration journey. Thank you. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Hardim Tripathi for Trip Law, and we look forward to servicing you with your immigration matter. Have a great day.